y'all, it's your girl Roxie with Roxiie Says, and we're gonna talk about it. Today we are doing something a little different, still reviewing Married at First Sight season 18, but this time we are reviewing the after party episodes for episodes 11 and 12 because baby, the way Akechi and David played in our face in these two episodes, we gotta talk about it. So if you've never seen the after party episodes, these are episodes where members of the cast, they sit down with the host Keisha Knight Pulliam and she interviews them and gets more insight into things that happened during the episode. All right, so it gets real juicy. So let's get right into this review. But before we do, please don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit that notification bell before you leave so that you will know every time I post a new video. So for this particular after party, we are here with Alan, and Joe. Joe is a commentator from Connor's Couch podcast. And we have, of course, our lovely host, Keisha Knight Pulliam. And later in this episode, Akechi and Michelle will be popping out, all right? But I mainly want to focus on and Akechi for this one. And then in the second after party, we will be focusing on Michelle and David because we're going to see Michelle discuss that freaky text message that she got from David, which David meant to send to his cousin about some food. Yeah, okay. So let's get straight into this episode where they're discussing the events that happened at the 1-month anniversary dinner. So off the bat, says that she feels like the only reason why Akechi even showed up to this dinner was to embarrass her. And she genuinely feels like this was his moment to act like a complete clown. That's why she called him a clown. And you know Alan, he's going to have to ride for his boo. He's always going to have MM's back. And he says that Akechi immediately came into that dinner loaded, blazing. And a lot of the other wives were actually confused by his behavior because they're all used to seeing Akechi put on this facade. He puts on this show in front of them. He acts really nicely, but this was the night that they saw his true colors, especially because both and Akechi, they had decided to keep their relationship issues private. And what most people saw was how they acted during the honeymoon. So they thought, you know, everything is cool. So when Akechi showed up at the dinner acting all stank, they were like, hold on, what's going on here? So Joe says that this is a situation where should have removed herself because he did not appreciate seeing a black man speak to a black woman like that. And it hits home for him because he is a black man married to a black woman. And Keisha points out that even if there's a disagreement, kindness and respect should always be the standard in any relationship, whether that's romantic, platonic, doesn't matter. Respect should always be given, which is 1000% true. If you want to see how someone really feels about you, see how they talk to you and see how they treat you during an argument. You will get your answer there, okay? Even if y'all are upset, there should be a level of care there at all times coming from both of you. So if they treat you like a dog in the street and their justification is that, oh, they're just upset, that is not okay and you do not have to take it, all right? So says that what really happened was that her and Akechi, they went out for a date one night. This date was not filmed, and she asked Akechi if he had any childhood photos, and he caught a whole attitude, and he was like, no, I told my mom to throw all my photos away, all my childhood photos. I told her to get rid of them. But they were still cool. They were having, you know, moving along with the conversation, just discussing each other's dating history, you know, regular things that you talk about on a date with someone who you're getting to know. But at a certain point, says that Akechi raised his voice in the restaurant to the point where people started turning, right? Started turning and looking at them, and it was very embarrassing. And we did see in episode 11, do a little selfie confessional. She spoke about this date in particular, and I can only imagine how embarrassing that was for we're in a restaurant and people are turning and looking. That's how loud you're talking. That is a problem. Akechi, what is wrong with you? But Keisha picks up on something, and she says she actually sees Akechi wanting to get rid of his childhood photos as a sign that he is trying to forget something that happened to him during that time, which does make a whole lot of sense. We don't know what it is, but clearly there's something there. However, that does not give Akechi permission to just blow up on people, go off on people, and no one should have to walk on eggshells when they're around him. And we see do this episode after episode, even during the anniversary dinner, until she just blew up because she couldn't take it anymore, all right? So next they talk about the meeting that Akechi had with Pastor Cal, where he said that makes him feel small and disrespected. And of course, does not like this because she says that she has never done anything to Akechi to make him feel small or to belittle him. The only thing, she says, the only thing that I can think of that would make him feel like that is the way that I cursed him out at the anniversary dinner. But remember, y'all, Akechi has been saying that makes him feel small. So if that's all she's done and it started at that anniversary dinner, then what are all the things that Akechi is claiming that she's done before? We gonna get to it, okay? And Alan jumps in and he says that Akechi isn't even able to really articulate why he feels the way that he does. It's just a few words that might trigger him, and then he just shuts down completely. And Joe points out that the ability to be vulnerable and to have the verbiage to even say how you're feeling, it takes a lot of work, time, and therapy for a lot of people. But it starts with being honest with yourself first. And I don't think that Akechi is very honest with himself. That's why he's not able to communicate his feelings with anyone else. So tells them how hurtful it was to come home after that dinner to see that Akechi had left. And she said that she felt absolutely abandoned because she got home about 45 minutes after the dinner, after that whole blow up, and he was already moved out of the apartment. And says that she actually brought things to the space to make their shared apartment feel like an actual home. She went and bought towels and, little things to homify, the place so that it didn't feel like they were just living together in a hotel room. But she says as far as Akechi, all he brought was his bare necessities, so it really didn't take him that long to move out, okay? Says that Akechi brought the bare minimum to that apartment the same way that he brought the bare minimum to their relationship, okay? And I love the point that Joe makes. He says that he cannot stand when people treat their marital home as an option on this show. Now, as many of y'all know, this is my first time watching the season. Do people do that often? Or is this the first time where people are just deciding when they want to live in the marital home or not? Let me know in the comments below. But he says that is not how a real marriage works. And they're not being true to the experience when they live apart and they just dip in and dip out whenever they feel like it, all right? So next, they discuss the conversation with Dr. Pia and Pastor Cal, where asked Akechi to move back in. Child, y'all know that I hated that for my girl. I hated seeing her ask that question, for him to say, okay, yeah, I'll move in with you. Only for him in the next episode to be like, yeah, no, I don't want to move in with you. Child, after they play the clip, there's a chuckle between and Alan. And you can tell that and Alan, they definitely have a great friendship, right? And he picks up on her feelings. And Alan says that even in the clip, you can tell that Akechi was just saying the right things to the experts at the time, but that's not really what he wanted to do. He just said yes to get the conversation over with. And Keisha's like, expand upon that. And he says, okay, well, if Akechi had said, no, I don't want to move in with her, then the experts would have said, oh, why not? Why not? Then it would have caused for the discussion to go on and on and on. And of course, he didn't want that. So he just said, yeah, I'm moving with you so he can get it over with. Okay. And clearly that is exactly what Akechi did. But Alan sees that Akechi does not want to have these conversations with the experts or with and he just leaves confused about the marriage, and she doesn't know what's to come. But does say that she still wants to fight through this. And I'm like, girl, haven't you seen everything that you need to see? Haven't you had enough? I don't understand why she still wants to fight for this relationship, especially when she's fighting on her own. It would be one thing if both and Akechi were fighting for something, even the way that she describes their relationship in episode 12, when is meeting with her friend and she's like, yeah, we're working through it. We're doing this. We're building on our communication. And I'm like, where is the we that you're talking about? I don't see a we, sweetheart. But child, after that scene, they're dismissed. And now we are on to Michelle and Akechi, okay? And Akechi, he gets right to it. And he's saying that he feels disrespected in his marriage. And Keisha tells him to think about what has done to him specifically to make him feel disrespected, okay? She says, I'm going to give you time to think about it. I'm going to give you time to think about it. She even goes to Michelle and she asks Michelle some questions. And Michelle says that she is comfortable with where her and David are at this point in the series. And she also acknowledges that she was passive aggressive AF during that little sushi date where she didn't like David's outfit, okay? And Michelle was like, the way that I said it, oh, so this is what you're going to wear what day? This is what you're going to wear? She says that when she watched it back, she was mortified. She should not have came at David like that. So at least we see Michelle does have a bit of self-awareness, okay? And she says that she deeply regrets how she was with David in that scene, especially. So now we're back to Akechi, all right? So they rewatched the scene where they read the vows. Then he told that if she keeps beating him over the head with a stick with these questions for an answer, he gonna give her vows, and that's all she gonna have. Remember that? And that was the same conversation, if I'm not mistaken, where he told that she was acting like an a-hole, okay? So Keisha says, give us specifics on how she's beating you head over the stick with questions. And he's like, oh, there's so many things. And she's like, okay, be specific. What are the things? Then I'm like, yes, Keisha, stay on his ass, because Akechi has been getting away with saying, oh, it's so many things. Oh, I don't know. Oh, she just makes me feel small. Oh, but he's never specific. And Keisha is making him be specific in this conversation. And I love that for everyone, okay? So Akechi says that would blow up his phone when she didn't get the right answer to a question. If they had like a conversation before and he didn't quite answer the question, she would text him over and over. Now, y'all know how I feel about that texting over and over, especially when someone is not responding to you. I don't think that should be doing that, but this is what Keisha says. Keisha's like, can I be honest with you, Akechi? You don't answer questions. You don't answer questions. Just like right now, Keisha had to ask Akechi the same question over and over, and she had to ask him to be specific and to give examples. And Keisha says, look, you don't answer the question that someone asks you. You answer the question that you want to answer. So of course, someone who is trying to get to know you and you do that, and then you get mad at them for re-asking their original question when you didn't even answer their question in the first place, don't you think that that's a problem? How do you expect that to work in a relationship? How do you expect to get to know the other person if you're not answering the questions, and then when they re-ask the question, you blow up on them? How is that supposed to work, Akechi? How would that make you feel? Only after Keisha really breaks it down to him like that, and she was getting in his behind. Her voice was up there as well. That's the only time that we see Akechi admit, and he was like, yeah, I would be aggravated by that too. And I'm like, you think? You think so? Because as a viewer, it doesn't look like is poking the bear. It just looks like she's asking normal questions. That's what they're trying to get Akechi to understand. The only thing that I will give Akechi, like I said before, was continuing to text him and call him when they've argued or he walks out or he moves out. Stop reaching out to him. Stop texting him. But other than that, she asks the right questions, and Akechi gets upset that she doesn't accept his little riddles as an answer because they are not answers, Akechi. So Joe says that when he watched this back with his wife, they were so confused by Akechi's behavior because they were like, why is he treating like that? Did we miss something? Did we miss an episode? And Akechi's like, oh, y'all missed a lot. Y'all missed a whole lot. And Keisha's like, okay, be specific. But Akechi doesn't want to get into it. He's like, oh, I don't want to get into that, but I'll just let y'all know that we were at a sports event and she treated the people in the room with high regard. But then on the way home, okay, we were driving and she almost ran someone over and she told someone to move, get out the way when the woman was crossing the street. And he's like, if that's how she treats regular people, I don't like it. I'm not with that. And Keisha was like, okay, I hear that. But what are the examples of how she has belittled you? What are the examples of how she's made you feel small? What has she said to you? You took those examples with other people and just applied it to yourself, or do you have actual examples of what she's done to you specifically? And he says he doesn't have examples, but he sees himself in those people and she didn't treat those people well. So to him, that means that she doesn't treat him well. Honestly, I feel like Akechi is pulling shit out of his ass and he's doing mental gymnastics to try to make look worse, okay? Who hasn't used a little profanity while driving? Who hasn't cursed someone out like, get your ass out the damn street, cross the street, drive your car, stop looking at your phone? Who hasn't done that? Drive that damn car, stay in your lane. So you took a random comment like that and you applied it to yourself and y'all's entire relationship? Are you serious, Akechi? That's a you problem. That is not an problem. So you overlooked all of the care and all of the kindness that she's given you, all of her efforts to communicate with you, and you instead decided to boil y'all relationship down to her cursing someone out in the street on the way home. Are you serious right now? So ignore how she's actually treated you, right? Ignore that, but let's focus on her cursing out a random person at night on the way home. And then Keisha says, did you speak to about this experience? Did you let her know how it made you feel? And he was like, no, I didn't tell her. And Keisha's like, so then how can you even hold someone accountable for something that they're not even aware of? She's not even aware that it's bothering you. I don't think it's bothering him at all. I think he just pulled that out his ass, okay? But how can you hold her accountable for something like that? Because it's not really that deep to him, Keisha. He's just saying that it is because he knows he has no legitimate reason to back up his claims of belittling him and making him feel small. Akechi, if you don't get the out of here, seriously, please. But Akechi does say that if he could do things over, he would be more direct with his answers to And he also says that his guard is always up because he works with kids all day. Oh, so that's why you so damn childish, because you work with... Got it. Okay. And that's why you lack respect when handling conflict, right? Because you so Okay, I got you. But he does say that has taught him patience, and he acknowledges that she has been extremely patient with him. And in my opinion, you have been way too patient with him. All right. So now we are at this week's after party for episode 12, and we are here with Michelle, Juan, and Zar. Zar is the wife of what's his name? The guy who we just saw in the previous episode. I can't remember his name. I think John, but she is the wife of John, and they have the podcast together called Connor's Couch Podcast, and our lovely host, of course, Keisha Knight Pulliam. Okay, so they start off with these freaky text messages that David sent. And the fact that he is trying to claim that they were meant for his cousin Denise about some food, child, David, the fact that David is doubling down in episode 12 about these text messages, saying that they were for his cousin, saying that's just how him and his cousin speak to each other, which is weird at in the first place, it really shows the extent that he will go to keep up with a lie. And that is not someone who you can stay in a relationship with. That is not someone who you can trust, okay? And I know that people feel, like I said in my review, that Michelle was an a-hole to David. She was an a-hole to David. She definitely was. And I can understand David not wanting to be with her ever again, 1000%. But at least finish out this experience with your nose clean, okay? Not dipping and doing it with anyone else. And then you can dump Michelle after, okay? Fulfill y'all little contracts, don't get fined, and then do what you want to do. But for the couple of weeks that y'all together, you can't hold it together for a couple of weeks for a check. You can't do that? All right, anyways. So she says that she got the text at 9 p.m. and they had been together all day. And Keisha was like, so you didn't respond to the text message at all? And Michelle was like, nope, I didn't respond. I wanted to ask his ass in person. I wanted to spring it on him. Michelle says, I wanted to spring it on him so that I could see his reaction in real time. Yes, Michelle, I like your style with that. And she says that the fact that he later deleted the text message made it even more suspicious, because when someone sends you a photo, right, you're already in the text thread and you just respond to that photo. So David, if you were really responding to a photo, you would have seen that big ass photo that was supposed to be in the text thread that you claim was missing, right? You would have been like, wait, this isn't the right conversation because I'm responding to a photo. There's no photo there, right? And Michelle thought that at first maybe David was trying to flirt with her. She was like, oh, maybe he had a little too much to drink and he was, trying to push up on me, trying to see something. And Keisha was like, well, damn, that would have been a better lie. That would have been a better lie. It definitely would have. He would have got shut down and he would have been, embarrassed. But at least that would have been a better lie than him saying that he meant to text his damn cousin. Child, but what I think happened, like I said in my review, I think he was out with Alan and Madison, all right? Maybe Madison was looking a little good to him. He has some liquor in his system, and he meant to text Madison from across the room like, hey, girl, you looking real good. I know Alan is here, but I want to eat you up. But instead of hitting Madison, he hit Michelle. And Keisha says, even though there wasn't a romantic connection between you and David, there's still a feeling of betrayal there, and it's very hurtful because at the end of the day, you two are still married. And Michelle does acknowledge that. Even watching the show back, she's like, oh my God, I can't believe I acted like that. Ew, I can't believe I spoke to him or treated him like that. That is not who I am. That is not how I am. So I can see Michelle understanding why David would have spoken to other women, why David would have spoken to his exes or other girls that he met, but at the same time, y'all are still married. If he didn't want to be with her, if he felt the urge to speak to other people, he should have broken it off with her instead of sneaking around behind her back. I don't think that these two like each other. I don't think that these two should be together. But at least from what we can see, Michelle isn't sneaking around on David. She might be unpleasant. She might be annoying. She might piss me off in every single episode. But what she's not doing is being fake, telling David like, oh, I want to be with you. I want this to work. I want to spend more time together, while she's texting other men and sexting other men and possibly meeting up with other men. Child, the way that David has had us all fooled, I was feeling really bad for him. But if this is the way that he's deciding to go about it, it's a no-no. It's a no-no. So Keisha asks if she could do it all over again, how would she do it? And Michelle says that she wouldn't have shut down at the wedding like she did. She would have gave it a bit more effort. So child, we then find out that Michelle actually did meet David's family. And she did actually meet cousin Denise, okay? The same day that David met her family. But she says that she wanted to sit with it a little bit and ask David more questions before she brought Denise into it. I do like Michelle's style. I will say that. She's on her grown woman tip. She's handling it with a level level head, which is easier to do when you are not in love with the person, when you don't really have strong feelings for the person, okay? But I do like how she's going about it. So we see them play the scene back of David, and he's listing all the women that he's been texting and seeing. And baby, the way that Keisha threw her cards on the floor, she was like, when I watched that scene, I was so pissed off for you. And she's like, I'm sure everyone else who watched was pissed off too. So she asks Juan how he felt about it. And Juan was like, well, I see that David was taking advice from Shaggy, talking about it wasn't me. One thing that Juan is going to do is he's going to try to make light out of any situation that he's in. But he says that it was very hard for him to watch, okay? Because he's like, David, bro, what are you doing? So Michelle is still adamant that David is lying. She doesn't believe him. She said that she was actually shocked when David started naming other women. She wasn't expecting him to give her a list, right? And I'm like, well, he only named some of the women because he didn't drop Madison's name. Now, in my comments, I see for my review, a lot of y'all feel like Michelle already knows that this text was meant for Madison. She's just playing it real low. I guess we'll see. But what pissed Michelle off was that David is telling her, oh, we don't spend enough time together. I want to do this activity with you. I want to go here. I want to do this. I want to do that. We need to go out more. Meanwhile, he's been spending time with other women. Keisha makes a great point, and she says that it's actually a blessing that David's lie was so ridiculous because now Michelle knows and she can work towards the truth of the matter within their relationship, whether they stay together or whether they don't. If David's lie was actually believable, Michelle probably would have let it go and she would have never found out about the other women that David has actually been texting and meeting up with to bring coffee to. So of course, this put a bigger strain on their already horrible marriage. But child, Keisha said that David is going to be at the after party for next week's episode. So I cannot wait to see what this man has to say for himself with this ridiculous ass lie. I want to see if he's also going to try to insult Keisha's intelligence the same way that he insulted Michelle and all of ours, okay? Because he thought we gonna believe that shit too. Do we look like Boo Boo the Fool, David? No, we do not. But let me know what you thought about these two episodes. I really enjoyed the after party. Let me know if you want me to do more reviews of the after party. And make sure that you check out my Married at First Sight reviews if you haven't already. I'm also reviewing Traitors. That show is amazing. Check that review out too. Before you leave, don't forget to hit like, comment, and subscribe. Make sure that you hit the notification bell so that you know when I upload. And I cannot wait to see you in my next video. Bye!
Roxiie says we're gonna talk about